What is up, guys? Welcome to a brand new video. These counter videos are where we go over something on like a general concept that's really popular and then how you beat it. Now, I did one of these for Thormail, Tanks, and Rammus before, which I'll link down below if you haven't seen it before, but let me know what you think of my suggestions. These are ways that I deal with this stuff, and leave a like if you enjoyed it. We're going to go over 3 different things that all kind of fall under the same bracket. So like Soraka, Warlord's Bloodlust, the keystone that's getting much more popular with ADs now, and also just like general sustain and lifesteal. I'm not very subtle about the fact that I don't like Soraka. Like, it's probably the most irritating support in the game to play against right now. You can't really trade against her in the lane phase, like the enemy AD kind of just wins by default. You're almost always punished for going aggressive, which means you have to sit back. In teamfights, she can keep people alive, which absorbs time, your cooldowns, and gives her team a better chance to get the first kill. I know in 619 she might be getting some big nerfs, but for now she's like the best support by far with an insane win rate, like higher than basically anything we've actually seen this season. A lot of that is because people don't know how to deal with her properly, but there are a couple of things you can do to make it a lot easier. So general playstyle first, and a little trick that I use all the time. The playstyle though, you kind of want to aim for like poke with no return damage onto Soraka, like an Ezreal Q for example, or all-in fights like go nuts and kill her. You really want to avoid short trades though, like where you both take damage and then you leave afterwards. The issue is this is how a normal lane works. You pick an optimal time to trade and you do more damage to them than they do to you. That's how trading works. Normally though, if you can do like 50% of their health while only doing 25% of yours, that is good. Against a Soraka though, it's actually not, because you lose 25% of your health and Soraka heals back their 50%, so they don't lose anything for it. Now the ideal is actually focusing a Soraka while disabling the enemy AD carry or fighting away from the AD. The problem though is if you hit Soraka, their AD is probably going to hit you for free. There are 2 possible ways you can kind of go around this though: an all-in fight and exhaust or crowd control the enemy AD so they can't do anything while you kill Soraka. For example, an Ash arrow onto the AD while you focus Soraka. Now a lot of people will just arrow the Soraka because they want to lock her down and kill her, but actually if you CC the AD and focus Soraka, it's much easier. The other way is if your support jumps in, you trade your support's health for Soraka's, so their AD is hitting your support while you hit Soraka. Now you're burning your support's potions here for Soraka's, not that bad. There is a backup plan which is like way more aggressive: ignite the enemy AD and just go nuts onto them and try and kill them. Ignite immediately. It's not for a finisher or damage here, it's for the grievous wounds debuff that cuts healing by 40%. That gives you a window of 5 seconds to burst them down. The problem is though, if you don't kill them in those 5 seconds, then they're going to heal back up, you lose health, and you have to wait again for your ignite cooldown. To recap the playstyle wise, then you avoid just trading little hits with each other. That doesn't really do very much with a Soraka, but you aim for big all-in fights to kill Soraka. You trade or poke from range where you don't take damage back. You ignite and go nuts, or you exhaust the enemy AD carry and ignore them while you kill Soraka. Ignite is one of the ways we mentioned already. Damage is okay, but it's the grievous wound, so cutting healing by 40% means Soraka is not that big of a problem as normal. The issue is it only lasts 5 seconds. That is not long enough to kill someone unless you're a burst champion. Now my personal trick for AD carries actually goes around this and kind of solves it: the Executioner's Calling. This is the item that builds into Mortal Reminder, the blue Last Whisper upgrade that we don't see very often. It costs 800 gold, it gives 15 AD, and all physical damage applies grievous wounds. You can buy this at a lot of different stages in the game and just leave it in your inventory. It's basically 800 gold that shuts down Soraka and makes her only 60% effective. You can focus whoever you want now, not just Soraka. 15 AD is worth about 525 gold anyway. You're paying just under 300 for the grievous wounds passive. That means you don't fall massively behind damage wise. Your first item will be delayed a little bit, but the idea is that you earn back that 800 gold from fighting Soraka in the lane phase and getting kills that otherwise you wouldn't be able to. Soraka is a farm lane when you play against her if you do nothing. You can't trade and you just have to sit back. With this Executioner's Calling though, you can go more aggressive. You get kills like normal and you're only going to be needing like 2 kills maybe, or a few assists to make this worthwhile. This is why I kind of say on aggressive champions I do this: Lucian, Draven, Misfortune, Twitch, maybe even Jhin as well. On someone like Jinx or Ashe, Vayne, Tristana, I'm okay with kind of just farming, to be honest. Like, I'm not the most aggressive AD on those champions anyway. I will just scale into the late game. Saying that though, you do need to pick this up at some point when you get into team fight. So Soraka will 90% of the time be healing who you are focusing because you're the main damage source. That's going to mean that grievous wounds will be way more effective, and it does make a huge difference. So you can't just like go the entire game not getting one until you're going to upgrade it into your Last Whisper. I see people all the time just stick to their normal path and like never change it. That is kind of a problem. Against Soraka, you're going to need it. Like on a Jinx, I would get Runins, Infinity, then Executioner's Calling, and move into my 3rd crit item or Bloodthirst or Last Whisper, whatever I need. Even if you're not in lane with her, buying a Morello on a mid laner is a decent way to help against Soraka, especially if you have any kind of sort of AoE damage. Problem with Morello though is it only starts to proc when they're under 35% health. So in theory, like Soraka can kind of keep them above that level and not have to worry about it very much at all. Everything I just said is kind of more how you beat Soraka Soraka. You can also just match her healing though with yours as a support, like a Nami or a Sona, for example. It's a little harder, I think, to keep up, but having some sustain definitely makes the lane a lot easier. As an AD carry, potions are another way of doing this. Like, it sounds weird, but if you're against a heavy sustain lane, then I'd normally say like 2 potions, probably health potions, will do the trick and keep you farming at least. It's not ideal, but you will pay back the gold you spend with extra minions you get anyway. But Warlord's Bloodlust really also helps. It's kind of the ultimate thing here. It lets you trade or more likely get poked and still stay in lane. It's actually very hard to get screwed when you have Warlords, and that is the next thing I want to talk about. So Warlords is becoming a lot more popular on AD carries right now because of the crit and armor pen build. So these don't really fit lifesteal in until super late game, meaning we have ages where we can't really heal back up in fights. In case you weren't sure, Warlords grants lifesteal based on how much missing health you actually have. So at 10% missing, it's roughly 1% lifesteal. At 50%, it's roughly 9%. At 80% loss, so when you're sitting really low, it's roughly 20%. Those values as well are only for against champions. It's 25% as effective against minions for ranged champions and 50% effective for melee champions. So the rise of Soraka and Sona definitely made like ADs pick this up more. They are healing like 24/7, and it kind of gives us a way to heal back up as well. The concept really means that we shouldn't ever get pushed out of lane as long as we don't die. We get low, we hide under our tower and lifesteal back up when it's fully active, slowly kind of getting health back and just staying in lane forever. Now this is probably the most frustrating thing to actually play against, especially because those who use it are the ones you have to punish in lane, right? Like Jinx, Ashe, Sivir, Vayne are good examples. Like, you got to spank them early or they're going to carry late game. It's really hard to do that when they are running Warlords because they sit under tower like a little pussy and you can't really do anything, but there are a few ways to deal with it. Now Executioner's calling is not worth, by the way, okay? It's not in a fight that is a problem really until late game. It's them attacking minions under their tower out of reach. So the first thing, in a fight, if you have Fervor, you're almost always going to win unless you take the worst trade ever. Fervor is a ton of damage over a period of time. Even early, it really does add up. If you know this, you can use it and you can control the lane quite easily. Like, extended trades normally are going to be a bit better for you than they are for the enemy. The second thing is my personal trick to deal with them. Now, everyone probably has something a little bit different, but this is my way. So you don't really want to get them below 50% health in a single trade, really. That's kind of where like Warlord starts to kick in, or don't at least overextend for a trade past that point. 50% is about 9% lifesteal. Now, a 25% reduction on minions, remember, so almost about 2.5% lifesteal. That's not that bad. Once they are at 50%, you kind of just reset and you go again. This time you actually try to kill them. So basically, you want to take this in 2 stages. Get them to 50% health-ish, and then from 50% to 0 and get the kill. It's really hard to go from 100 to 0 because you're going to use cooldowns at the start of the fight, then kind of have to wait for them again, and it won't come up in time for you to finish. It's easier to use cooldowns, get them half health, wait for those to come back up, and then use them again to finish, in my opinion. Now, the worst thing you can actually do, though, is get them to about 20 or 30% health, almost dead, but have nothing left to finish them off. They're just going to heal back up, and it will end up being useless. Also, though, if you are going to do this, if you are going to put them really low, that's just like how the fight turns out or something, then fine, but don't push it into tower. The default thing to do after winning a trade is to push and try and poke under tower. Now, don't do that against someone with Warlords. Just freeze and keep them away. If you push it in, he's going to heal from Warlords under tower, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Like, you keep them away, he misses CS, and he can't heal back up. Now, in teamfights, this actually changes a little bit. It becomes an issue in a different way, especially late game. Bloodthirster and Warlords is insane. Technically, about 40% lifesteal-ish if they are really low, which is nuts. You could even add an Elixir of Wrath on top for even more. Plus, with Runes as well, all that lifesteal is going to be healing from all 3 bolts. Mortal Reminder and Grievous Wounds work against lifesteal as well as everything else, not just heals. If you ever fight an enemy AD carry late game and they have Warlords, you're going to struggle unless you get some big crits to finish them off. Mortal Reminder is going to cut their summoner heal down and Warlords, making it much easier than you think to kill them. It also works against any kind of tanks that have heals, so it's more useful than people give it credit for. I see people get Lord Dominic's like every single game because it's more damage, and that is true, I guess, but only against huge tanks, which in my opinion aren't even that popular anymore, or at least there's only one of them. Right now, you should think properly between the two, so especially if you have Fervor, then tanks should melt anyway. I'm not saying it's like better every single game or anything like that, but in general, just be aware that Mortal Reminder is overpowered against any healing in teamfights. Even things like Riven or Fiora, who normally get a Bloodthirster, it's going to be much easier to deal with them. Sustain is in a lot of different lanes. It's more about the bot lane, I think, but it can be mid and top. Probably more top, I guess, actually, I'd say, but you can apply the same things I've talked about in this video there as well. You need to pick your times to trade smartly. If they have sustain, then you need to all in and kill or go in and make sure you do much more damage to them and still come out on top after they heal back up afterwards. With Grasp of the Undying, the healing thing, like trade when yours is up and theirs isn't ready, or do cooldown based trades. You want to trade when their stuff is on cooldown. It means they'll be doing a lot less damage, and that should kind of see you come out on top and account for any sustain they have as well. Potions, like we said before, are a quick fix way to do it as well. If you struggle trading, then just buy a few extra pots and at least you'll be able to farm. Executioner's Calling as well might even be worth early against someone like Trundle or Nasus or Mundo who really rely on healing to win fights. It's not that bad an item and you don't have to upgrade it just yet either. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if there are any extra ways you deal with them that I haven't covered today. Thank you guys for watching, but for now, let's go to the robots.